All right, what is good, you guys? Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is September 25th, 2025. I lost $10,000 today. I took two trades. Both were L's. Both were A-plus setups. Not really much I can do about it. I did blow. I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys. I did blow five evals on Tradeify. I was trying to get them up. And then between yesterday and between today, all S-tier setups. Yesterday, there was an A-plus setup and then an S-tier setup. Today, there was two A-plus setups. And I'm actually 0 wins, 3 losses, 1 break even in the last 2 days, right? I've lost 20 grand, so I actually ended up blowing those Tradeify accounts. I'm about to go buy 5 more. It is what it is. They weren't XFAs or anything. It was just evals. But it kind of sucks. It's kind of irritating, but you just have to take it on the chin, right? I took 2 fucking trades today. I was very patient, right? I followed my rules. I only took 2 trades. I waited for my setup to present itself. It presented itself, and it failed twice, okay? What can you do about that? You can't really do anything. So coming into this morning, there was a few things I had pointed out. I was leaning more bearish than I was bullish, even though we were inside of this daily fair value gap. This is previous week lows right here, so I wasn't really worried about this daily fair value gap right here, just because we're in a pretty bearish sentiment overall, especially on the 4-hour and 1-hour. But these were essentially my conditions right here, right? This unfilled 4-hour and this well, I don't think it was unfilled. This one was unfilled at market open. This one was getting danced in. We had both of these 4-hour fair value gaps. So I said, okay, if we can invert these, we're most likely going to go down here to previous week lows. And then there was like unfilled 15-minute right here, and then like an unfilled 5-minute right here, which are these two lines I'll show you guys in a second. So right at market open, we ended up tapping into this 15-minute bearish fair value gap. And then what did we end up doing? We ended up getting a 5-minute inversion to the downside right here. So I actually set a limit order at this inversion, and I was targeting this unfilled 4-hour fair value gap. So I was hoping price ended up inverting it and then coming up here like some sort, tapping, oh my god, tapping me into the order, and then we can go down to this unfilled gap. Well, that didn't end up happening. We ended up just running straight to it. Okay, and then what ended up happening? Well, we ended up coming and tapping into, what do we tap into over here? We had this unfilled 15-minute gap. Okay, we had these 15-minute intermediate lows right here that we ended up coming and sweeping out, so on and so forth. And like I said, this last line down here is previous week lows. So we ended up taking out those 15-minute lows, tapping into this 15-minute gap, and then what ends up happening from there? Well, we end up inversing this. Give me 1 second. Let me delete these. We end up inversing this 15-minute gap right here back to the upside. So I was like, cool, okay. We still have targets above us. What do we have? Well, now we have relatively equal highs. We have this unfilled fair value gap right here. And then we also had data highs at the top of the 830 candles. So there was data highs right here as well. Okay, so I was like, now at this point in time, I'm looking for a pullback into here and the draw on liquidity. Overall, we're probably still bearish, right? At the end of the day, we're probably still going to end up coming back down here and visiting these lows. However, for this time being, where was the next draw on liquidity for this morning session? Well, it was this unfilled hourly and these data highs, okay? So I was waiting for a pullback into either this inversion or this BPR, and then look for a rejection out of it. What do we end up getting? None of that. We ended up creating equal highs with data highs, and then we ended up pushing higher into the unfilled 1-hour gap. Okay, so from here, we are now inside the unfilled hourly gap, and we also just swept out these 15-minute highs, okay? As you guys can see, these 15-minute highs in this hourly gap has not been touched yet on ES. So now we have a 1-hour fair value gap. We have a 15-minute SMT. Okay, what else do we have in order to build confluences that, okay, I want to see price go lower? Well, what do we end up opening up, right? We have this unfilled 15-minute fair value gap. We have, 5-minute fair value gap. We have this unfilled 5-minute fair value gap. And then what is about to open up? Well, at the same spot of that 5-minute is also a unfilled 15-minute, okay? Right here. So from here, I'm like, all right, cool. We can gap model this shit down to the fucking unfilled gaps. So what ends up happening? Well, we end up having a 4-minute fair value gap, which was the highest time frame inversion in or fair value gap in this leg. Okay, what do we end up doing with it? We end up inversing it. Okay, and then immediately after we inversed it, we got a candle that came all the way up here, and I actually entered like damn near at the top of this candle. It was almost a fucking perfect fucking entry. Like I said, it was a 5-minute or a 4-minute inversion with a 15-minute SMT, a 1-hour fair value gap, and a data sweep. Okay, so ES also took out data highs as well. What ends up happening from here? Well, we kind of chop around. My break-even point at this point in time is this first 5-minute fair value gap, and then my take profit is the second 5-minute fair value gap. Price ends up chopping around, and then we end up or I end up getting stopped out with this candle right here. I was hoping for a CISD for better entry, but it is what it is. We ended up leaving equal highs right here anyway, so it was just all cooked. And then what do we end up doing? Well, we came up, we got this the sweep right here of these internal highs. We still have the 15-minute SMT. We still have the hourly fair value gap SMT. Okay, now we have this internal SMT as well. Okay, so from here, I'm like, okay, this is even more, like this was an A. I'd rate this setup like an A. This setup was an A++ setup. I wouldn't say S tier because maybe we needed a little bit more confidence for an S tier setup, but this was fucking beautiful. We ended up getting a 1-minute inversion. I went ahead and entered off the retap of the fair value gap right here. Stops at the SMT highs. Same targets. We have a unfilled 5-minute or 2 unfilled 5 minutes, and then I believe there was another unfilled 15-minute. Yeah, there was another unfilled 15-minute right here. So I was going actually break even at this first unfilled 15-minute and hoping we can come down here. If we were seeing rejection or if ES was trending lower into this these fair value gaps first, I would have just took my profits. All right, so we had a break even at the first 15-minute, and then TP1 at the first 5-minute, and TP2 at the second 5-minute. Okay, so from here we get the 1-minute version SMT, right? We sweep out all these AMD model highs, or this AMD highs, or accumulation zone highs. Sorry, high. And then as you guys see, we get stopped out fucking immediately. Just unfortunate PA, beautiful setups, but bad price action, right? And I know you guys are probably saying, well, why are you entering during bad price action? Well, the way I trade is I like to see AMD models, right? So I like to see these accumulation zones, right? I do like to see chop. And then I like to see a sweep of some sort of liquidity. And this was a sweep of liquidity inside of a high time frame for value gap, okay? With clear targets below us. So we ended up getting a clean inversion right here. So look at this right here, okay? Look at these. You see how this is like actual chop right here? And there's nothing really going on. But do you see this one leg up, how we actually create a fair value gap and take or sweep past these internal highs right here, creating another SMT along with the 15-minute SMT and the hourly fair value gap, okay? We also have unfilled gaps below us. That is, this specific leg right here is, in my eyes, not considered chop, okay? Yes, this is right here, all this up and down. But when we get a clean leg up, sweeping past some sort of liquidity or hitting some sort of unfilled fair value gap, doing something on a higher time frame, right? And then we get a clean inversion with speed. That is telling me that, okay, we're not in the chop no more and we're going to actually have good price action. Well, today, unfortunately, didn't get that. And I ended up getting stopped out. And then as you guys can see, we ended up getting one more sweep of liquidity, which was also an SMT as well, right? There was another SMT. ES did not end up coming and sweeping out this high. I did not enter off this. Like I said, I only take 2 trades a day. Here we go right here. There's the inversion. My entry point would have been at the retap of the inversion, so it would have looked something like this. With this blue candle, stops at the SMT highs. Take profit now down to either this unfilled 15-minute, or you could have even, or this unfilled 5-minute, and this unfilled 15-minute was the first break-even point. And then, as you guys can see, it would have ended up fucking playing out, which is disgusting. But yeah, it is what it is. This shit happens. You just have to take it on the chin. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I blew 5 accounts today, but what am I going to do? I'm just going to journal this, right? And then move on. Because what can I journal? Well, we were inside of an hourly gap. Yeah, but what was above us? There was an unfilled 15-minute right here, right? That I failed to see. And if I seen that sooner, or even an unfilled 30-minute, I could have been like, okay, when this 4-minute inversion happened, I could have been like, all right, we have an unfilled 30-minute and an unfilled 15-minute at my stop loss. Let's be patient, right? The first trade was kind of, I wouldn't say I rushed it. It was still an A setup, but I could have been more cautious of it, these unfilled gaps. The second trade, however, I would have took this regardless, right? Why? Because, well, then we retapped into the 30-minute and then got an inversion. So this second trade would have been took regardless. This first trade, yeah, I can journal it and be like, okay, we had these unfilled gaps above us, even though we had a 4-minute inversion, which is a pretty high time frame inversion. I could have waited. However, it is what it is, right? I see my setup, I entered. If I see my setup, I'm going to enter, right? And then obviously there was this one where we ended up tapping into the 15-minute, retapping into the 15-minute, and then continuing lower. But yeah, it is what it is. It sucks. I'm down 20K in the past 2 days, just blew 5 evals, but I mean, the evals are whatever. But yeah, you just got to take it on the chin. It's a raw reality of being a day trader. It's not always going to be fucking pretty, but it is what it is at the end of the day, right? So I hope you guys had good lessons today. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Feel free to DM me as well on Discord, TikTok, Instagram. All my socials at LoeGpa. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Don't crash out on the charts. There's always tomorrow, right? We can always bounce back Thursday, Friday, and then we can have the greatest fucking week ever next week. Okay. So just stay cool, calm, and collective, and just keep going. All right. Believe in yourself. I love y'all, boys.